Dear students, so far we discussed 5 points of improving transient stability in our previous 2 lectures. Now we are going to discuss the next point, point number 6. Write down by using fast valving technique. This technique, fast valving technique, can be applied to the units having a steam turbines only. So under this technique, we are rapidly reducing the input mechanical power to the alternator, that is output of the turbine. This fast valving technique can be applied in 2 ways. So first we will write momentary fast valving, and next will be sustained fast valving. Under this momentary fast valving technique, around 70% of power is reduced rapidly by fully closing and opening of intercept valves. So we are going to rapidly close the valves, control valves, here known as intercept valves. You may write intercept. Valves. Fully closing and fully opening of intercept valves. So this closing and opening occurs, opening of the intercept valves occurs after a very short delay, time delay. So this way we are going to reduce the mechanical input to the alternator almost 70%. Once fault is cleared after a certain time delay, then again the situation will be restored, and then again the normal steam input is required. But if fault is not cleared within certain specified interval of time, if still fault exists, then we have sustained valve technique, fast valving technique. Under sustained fast valving technique, the control valves are partially closed, not fully like that. In this, we are fully closing and fully opening the valves known as intercept valves. But in case of sustained fast valving, we are partially closing the control valves. Hence partial load rejection is there. Fine. Maybe due to sustained interruption of the system, in the system, some part of the system is still energized, maybe in islanded operation mode. So there we need some reduced input corresponding to that limited output, electrical output. So valves are partially closed and hence partial load rejection is employed here. Another associated phenomenon known as bypass valving. Bypass valving is also occurred in the control strategies for improving transient stability. Here we are controlling this accelerating power from mechanical side. Before that we discussed by using braking resistor. So this was from electrical side, control from this side, electrical side. Now we are discussing control from mechanical side. So it's not that one technique is only employed, sometimes combination of from one or more than one is also employed. Some technique from mechanical side, some technique from electrical side, combinations are employed, right? So what is bypass valving? In bypass valving, we have one bypass valve, and the steam, as soon as fault occurs, the steam is bypassed, directly sent to the condenser if we have sufficient bypass system to store that amount of, to provide that extra capacity for bypassing the steam to the condenser, having large amount of energy. So that energy is again extracted with the help of feed water. No need to go in detail, just know that similar to that valving technique, we have another bypass valving in which we are suddenly bypassing the steam input. Instead of sending to turbine, directly we are sending to the condenser, and again as soon as the situation is restored to the normal, then again quickly we are capable of feeding the required amount of speed to the turbine. Fine. So this way we are controlling this shaft power from mechanical side with the help of this technique. Now next, let us come to next point. Point number 7. By using fault current limiter. So what is fault current limiter? First make these diagrams. Let us make another. So here mark current, series current as I, and this as superconductor XSC. Let us mark this as XSC, and this is R. Let us represent this resistor as R lim. Similarly, this is superconductor XSC, and this is, let us mark X lim. So we have made this is fault current limiter FCL. So this is resistive FCL, fault current limiter, and this is inductive FCL, fault current limiter. Sometimes we have combined design where we have inductive and resistive elements both together. So first we will try to understand its function. These fault current limiters are connected in series with the line. So this is series current. In normal operating condition, this whole current flows through this superconductor having resistance zero resistance. Fine. Instead of representing this, okay, you may represent as you wish. This is basically, or directly write it, this is superconductor, represent it by this. Let us represent XSC here. Similarly, just hide internal structure, just this block XSC, this. So in normal operating condition, whatever current we have in line, that current passes through the superconductor having resistance 0. As soon as fault occurs, then this current reaches to activation current of superconductor, which results in instantaneously increased reactance of the superconductor, and hence now as soon as situation is not normal, now once fault has occurred, this current will pass through this element also, because in normal operating condition the superconductor is having 0 resistance, but as soon as the current has reached to activation value, instantaneously its reactance has increased, and hence by current division rule you may observe that this abnormally high current will pass through this element also, or through this element also. In normal condition it was passing through this, in abnormal condition it is passing also through this branch. So this abnormal current divided into 2 branches. Once it passes through this, so ohmic loss will be there. This will try to suppress or consume, rather we can say this will consume the extra energy, kinetic energy stored into the rotor due to acceleration of rotor in abnormal condition. So this consumes that extra energy stored, hence improving the transient stability of the system. On the other hand, inductive type fault current limiter helps in suppressing the voltage drop during abnormal condition. Right? We have another issue of voltage drop during abnormal condition. So this helps in suppressing that voltage drop. And if we have combined design, then we can have both the benefits by using fault current limiter. So again, this control is from electrical side. So sometimes we may have these 2 techniques together, or previous technique also, which was by using that. What was that? Braking resistor. So what was the function of braking resistor? It was also consuming energy, extra energy stored. But if fault is near to the alternator terminal, in that case, what was the drawback? In that case, the voltage drops significantly, hence that was not much effective. So we can have combination of various techniques together employed depending upon the adequacy of the system, feasibility of the system. Now let us discuss one more point. By using, I am writing here, by using HVDC link, here the detailed study of HVDC link is out of scope of this lecture. So just know this point only. Remember this point only, that by using HVDC link also we can improve transient stability by having various modulation control strategies. Those strategies I am not going to discuss in detail. Just add in your notebook just one simple point, that by using HVDC link we can improve transient stability. So far we discussed some important points under this heading. If you want to have more detailed study, still more detailed study, then lots of literature reviews can be done by downloading research papers from some reputed journal sites, right? Thank you very much.